Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, the Unselfish channel. My name is Auntie Hannah. Today we're going to be discussing a thought-provoking book that challenged my perspective on addiction, why people become addicted, and why others would encourage addictive behaviors on an individual and a societal basis. Please be aware that I have notes and a script on my computer, which is why I will be looking up and down. Bear with me as I get the teleprompter in the process. And before I dig into this topic, there are some disclosures. When using the word Soma, I'm referring to a wide range of addictive, numbing, and survival behaviors. Soma will look different to each of us and is it is a sensitive topic to address, both here via this video and a societal and individual basis. I am not a professional therapist, so I cannot give you specific advice for the individual. Instead, I'm a survivor of my own Soma addictions, and I'm sharing my views and experiences of my own addictions, my observations of those addictions in my life, and observations of others and the addictions in their lives. This is no way admitting that I do nose candy or anything crazy like that. Again, addiction looks different to each of us, and what we're trying to self-medicate with that addiction, again, is different for each of us. Also, people with addictions are not by default villains. They are humans experiencing human emotions that don't have the best coping skills to deal with that human moment. People deal with life and grief differently. It is not my place to judge and is not our place to judge. So with that being said, thank you for taking this opportunity to be curious about your own Soma addictions. My hope is that something I say inspires and impacts you, or gives you some new brain food to chew over and digest. Just know that no matter where we are in this journey that we call life, you are worthy of inner peace, and the journey will always be worth it. So, with that in mind, I was first introduced to the concept of Soma via a book, A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And that was, again, apologize if I mispronounced, but that was published back in the 1930s. So I'm going to read you the synopsis of the book. It's a tour de force. A Brave New World is a darkly satirical version of the utopian future where humans are genetically bred and pharmaceutically anesthetized to passively serve a ruling order. A powerful work of speculative fiction that has enthralled and terrified readers for generations. It remains remarkably relevant to this day as both a warning to be heeded as we head into tomorrow and as a thought-provoking, satisfying entertainment. So this book was assigned to my husband when he was in high school. Kept it as you do with books you're given in high school. Years later, I found it on my shelf. So I read this about a year ago. And let me tell you, I was so glad that I had a fellow adult to talk about this book with. Because like from the first chapter alone, I was gobsmacked. Like I actually got active heart rate minutes reading this book. And I was raging to my husband, like, I need to talk about this. We need to figure out what the frick I just read. But with that being said, if y'all read this, it's a lot. You have been warned, but I do highly recommend it. So in this book, again, it's like a hierarchical system, and everyone is genetically built to fill a role in that system or society. Soma was a drug developed and given to every single citizen to reward them and keep them complacent. Like imagine cocaine replacing collective religion with no physical hangover side effects, no legality issues, and it's completely free. So you're stressed in traffic and you're just having a bad day in the car. Who needs to pray? We're going to do a bump of Soma in the carpool lane. So it's such a powerful substance that's accessible to anyone, accessible at any time, societally accepted, and it's legally distributed by that infrastructure of the society. Like, actively pause this video and think about this concept. Like, truly think about it. A substance designed to be so powerful, it replaces the natural and innate connection we each have to the divine God and the societal need for organized religion. We don't have anything to be shameful about. We don't have anything to be guilty about. We don't need any kind of encouragement or hope or redemption or forgiveness. Take a bump. A dab will do you. That is it. So with this fictional world in mind and the outcomes that were exacerbated into this utopian society, I knew drugs were bad, okay? Like I did the DARE program in the early 2000s. I know hugs, not drugs. Like I get it. But Soma is a metaphor for all the addictive behaviors and habits that we adopt in our lives to deal with life. It's not just a drug. It's a free public health lobotomy for each and every citizen. But what I'm saying is Soma is also behavioral. It's psychological, it's emotional, it's spiritual. With that being said, here's my book report on A Brave New World, a Soma Overdipped Society, or SOS. So for me to break this down, I kind of explained what Soma is, how it's used in the society. Now I needed to correlate that to today and me. So I just asked myself some basic questions and I wrote down my thoughts. What habits have you allowed to numb you from the world and your part that you play in the world? So after thinking and pondering on this, I was able to break this and down into two categories: avoidance behaviors and risky/soothing coping mechanisms. So first, for avoidance behaviors is just being on your phone and doom scrolling. Pure, numb, brain rot, mouth breathing activities on your phone where there's nothing going on up here. Super easy, super accessible, societally accepted. You can do it anywhere and everywhere. Self-deception. So programmed brainwashing and emotional detachment. I was lying to myself, telling myself that everything was okay when I was ignoring my own intuition that something wasn't quite right. I convinced myself I couldn't trust my own inner voice, and it led to the clogging of the pipe of natural synergy with my ability to tap into my own inner voice. It was a learned behavior, taught and reinforced through environmental, familiar, societal, and media expectations. Not getting enough sleep, not preparing your canvas or your body to prepare for the world. So this is sleeping, oversleeping, undersleeping, not respecting your natural body's need for rest. And then overworking, focusing my divine gifts that I was granted towards someone else's dream. Just because I worked for a small business or a business in general doesn't mean that they're bad guys, but I have never once found a company that fit my specific needs that I need to thrive in a workplace. And so because I was adding all of these innate gifts into this cause that didn't align with my own energies, it put a lot of tension and friction on these already stressed lines, and it was causing burnout to come faster. So moving on to like risky and soothing coping mechanisms, kind of touched a little bit on the others, but more specifically in this one. So any kind of like substance abuse, alcohol, smoking, snorting, vaping, patches, nicotine, like any and everything, any kind of substance that you put into your body internally to change your body's, or I should say, alter your body's chemical makeup and your body's actual reactions to its environment. So having these substances altered your perspective. In reality, it implanted false emotional narratives that covered up the real reactions to our reality. Physical touch, both by yourself and others, and to varying degrees. It doesn't have to be a sexual way. It can also be a very like socially acceptable way. So having textured items, soft clothes, a good blanket, cuddly toys, walking around with a stuffed animal. Like these are very protective animal comforts. Cosmetic fixes, quick non-behavioral cosmetic fixes. Quick, non-behavioral correcting actions that give instant dopamine, changes physical appearance without addressing actual cause or discomfort. Awesome example is like when you're in a mood, you cut your hair or you dye it. You're trying to change your outward appearance, so society will accept that. But what you're really struggling with is your internal reflection of your internal reflection of how the world perceives you. Self-harm. This could encompass, excuse me, ma'am. Hey! Self-harm. This could encompass anything from cutting, picking, scratching, plucking, peeling, depriving yourself of necessary resources. I would turn to music and art forms of expression, both visually, music, artwork, a good book, reading, escapism, just diving into a story that had a predetermined outcome that was hopefully happy. Like I would also consider God to be a coping mechanism. This is a very controversial opinion, very hot topic. I'm purposely kind of not diving into this. The book already did kind of. So what are you hiding when you consume Soma? Again, this is me personally. This may look different for you. At the end of the day, it's fear. Basic fear. Fear of isolation, of being rejected for my true self, expressing the darker aspects of my own psyche that I've been trained to no longer trust. So fear of suffering, emotional suffering, spiritual suffering, physical and mental suffering, rejection and lack of affection suffering, fear of pain, physical, mental, emotional, and imagined. You know, the brain actually considered imagined scenarios of pain and stress. The brain cannot tell the difference between imagined and experienced real pain. And then boredom. Like my brain needs constant stimulation. When I get bored, I don't want to sit in boredom. I was taught to discredit my own internal voice. So when stillness allows your inner voice to break the surface of your subconscious, I was trained to throw a rock at the surface to chase it away. Mama, I'm trying to preach. With that being said, what did Soma do for me to benefit me? Because people don't adopt behaviors without it having some kind of benefit. That jerk who screams at you in public isn't doing it just for like funsies. For some reason, him being a jerk benefits him in the long run. The reason that people use weapons is to win. End of the day. First and foremost, afterward with clarity, it gave me appreciation for clarity of a clear state of mind, of non-implanted thoughts, opinions, processes, and perceptions. It allowed me to make mistakes in my life, to learn from those mistakes and know what doesn't work for me and what I don't want. Sometimes it's hard to articulate what we want on an individual basis. Just having a guide and a footnote of knowing what we don't like is a great first step of figuring of what we actually do like in our life and what kind of life we truly want to live. So, shorter list, but if there's benefits, what did Soma do to hurt me long term? It made me complacent. It allowed me to be okay with just being okay. And it never gave me the motivation to push myself and challenge myself to do better. It takes a physical toll on your body as well. A physical toll that your body takes when you indulge in unhealthy coping mechanisms, both physical, mental, spiritual, blah, blah, blah. You're dependent to regulate emotions from an outside source. You always had to have a crutch to hold yourself up. External motivation or numbing agents to nanny this fussing child in you who wasn't happy, is scared, was frustrated, bored, starved, invisible, and they need their needs filled. It's a financial and opportunity restrictions. So I was funneling cash, resources, time, energy, potential, talent, and I was funneling that into something that wasn't giving me a long-term benefit. Like, I could only imagine where I'd be now if I had this tenacity in my 20-year-old's body. Like, I would be a millionaire by now if I had this energy 10 years ago. It led me to being ungrateful. I wasn't being in the moment to see the bounty that I already have. I was always focused on the future and what more I need if my worst case scenario finally happened. If there were to have been any legal issues that were to come up, if you're caught, again, like, doors are closed to you automatically by a mistake in your past. It doesn't stop your potential growth and evolution as a human. You just have to carve a different path. And then there's a negative societal connotation that you're assumed untrustworthy once you have that convict label placed upon you. And I think that one of the bigger things for me is it doesn't allow you to address and express the rot in your psyche. So just like how you have to physically take time to heal from a broken leg, it physically takes time, care, attention, and nurturing to heal from mental injuries as well. If you just shove it in a corner, ignore it, it's going to fester. It's going to rot. It's going to have this pungent stink that comes from your soul, and it's going to impede on other parts of your life. It's going to affect your sleep, your work habit, your reliability, your self-worth, everything. It touches every aspect of your life, and other people will be able to see it. If they see this habitual pattern of you being constantly late or unreliable or a liar, it will put your character into question as well. You allow small things to build up to become big things. Again, you're complacent. You don't have good boundaries. You allow anything and everything into your life because you think you don't deserve to have better things in your life. You don't have self-worth. You feel like you don't deserve it. And again, the negative people and situations into your life. A drowning man will cling to anything that floats, even another drowning man. Misery loves company. Like, the company you keep determines the context of your learned characteristics. The top 5 people that you spend the most time with in your life, you take on fractional aspects of those 5 people. And it changes your prioritization of what you value and what's important in your life. If that next hit is more important than seeing an elderly family member, you're not going to go to that reunion. Like, and that's just a very small example, but, reprioritize what you value in your life. So when did Soma start becoming a problem for me? Because everyone has behaviors and habits. It only is deemed a problem when it negatively impacts other people and or yourself, or limits and impedes you from healing. Excuse me. So one of my somas was food in the past. I used to use food as a coping mechanism. So physically, you could see that I was eating my emotions. And it did not give me good self-worth, and I didn't feel like I was able to achieve certain things in my life because of my weight, or people automatically assumed things about me because of my weight. And now that I've lost close to 200 pounds, I can tell you pretty privilege is very real. I'm not saying that you aren't beautiful who you are in the body that you have. Health is not a number, like blah, 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 blah. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is subconsciously, we treat people different. when their bodies are in a certain state. Like you wouldn't talk to a toddler like you have questions about his retirement plan. Like the body does not fit how you would treat it. Very simplified, but again, big picture, humans are simple. My mental health took a toll. I was already in a dark place. But the hole to hell is deep as hell. Like you can far down that hole far. So even when you start these habits, you might be in the deepest of darks, but you can still continue to slide. And that tipping point is going to look different for each and every one of us. I got to my tipping point. I built a resistance to my numbing effect. So just like how when you drink or smoke or other substances, you build this resistance to the dopamine that you receive. So you needed more to get the same effect. And that was one of the issues that I was having with my numbing habits. For disclosure, again, just example, I would have sad peanut butter girl moments on the couch where I literally take a jar of peanut butter, grab a spoon, and maybe some chocolate chips if I'm getting like really fancy. And I'd sit my bottom on the couch the moment I got home from work, took my bra off, put on a robe, and I would plop on the couch and I would just doom scroll, eat peanut butter and chocolate chips for hours. That is like an example of what that would look like for me. And it was to the point where like my cats were reminding me, hey, Hannah, Auntie Hannah, it's a sad peanut butter couch time. We need to go cuddle on the couch. So like my cats were reminding me of these habits. I'm like, yo, you got to chill. So that was my internal. I wanted to take myself out of the situation, step back from the elephant. So my next question was, how does watching other people consume constant Soma make you feel? Or how does addiction look like to you and your loved ones? First off, again, Soma addictions come in many forms and combinations. Also, the limit of what is considered over obsessive or cross the line of what is acceptable behavior is determined by the individual or the consequences of those individual behaviors. But what I feel when I see people struggling with addiction is, of course, sadness. Like you can feel the soul crying out. It radiates off them in waves if you're sensitive enough to receiving those emotions. It makes you feel hopeless that you can't help them or you can't control that specific situation, especially if you're discomfort because you don't have information, knowledge, resources, or the emotional availability to help that person. It's like you have to have other people step in. Because you don't have all the answers. You don't have 100% of the information. And that's not a bad thing. You need other voices and influences in your life to be well balanced and to check your own biases, opinions, and your, I don't want to say racism, but your assumed stereotypes and assumed connotations on other people in the world. So it's a lot of mad, sad, angry, and also a little bit of fear that that's something that I could be next. If all it takes is me to like break my foot and then I go to the doctor, they prescribe me pain pills, and then I become addicted to pain pills due to an injury. I'm already out of work. I'm addicted to drugs, or at least to the prescription. Once that prescription goes out and I can't get more, I'm gonna turn to dope on the street. Like like that is the main cause for most prescription drug to like methamphetamine, like those harsher drugs in America, is you're first prescribed by a trusted individual to numb the pain. And that's a whole pharmaceutical issue. I'm not going to get into that in this video, maybe later. So with that all being said, if I could shut off all of my emotions, both the good and the bad, so essentially take Soma, would that make me happy? Like, are you happy now? Like, if you had no joy, would that finally make you happy? Would I be satisfied with hollowness? And that's a resounding freaking no. I would be a blob. I would be a blah, a clone, drone, busy bee worker doing anything and everything commanded to me by other people. And probably those people commanding don't have my best interest at heart. I would be handed my own internal muchness by the corporate consumer machines, from what I think to how I feel to the words and connotations these words dictate, for my own likes, dislikes, opinions, beliefs in myself, my reality, and my place in this world. My ethics, my morals, my philosophies, my characters, and my actions. Who you are as a person are your emotions and your experiences tied to those emotions. That's all you are. To give up all control to anyone else but myself, I'd be a helpless raft afloat in the busy current that is life. I would be on the lazy river of life, being a victim to the current with no control. So, in conclusion, I would fight for both good and bad. I would address the strong emotions. Like, I would do better overall if I didn't avoid my natural actions, reactions, and emotions to this plane that we called life. It's a natural human thing to feel emotions. So there's no shame, there's no guilt. So that's a whole other topic as well. But when we have the shame and the guilt, we don't allow ourselves the grace and space to be human, to heal. And so we'll numb or we'll self-soothe with non-positive coping mechanisms. But when I actually put in the fight for myself, for my hope, for my future, for my legacy, for my potential, I tell you, it is worth it. The path is so much more beautiful than you could ever imagine in the darkness. The light has such radiance that it will make a person in the dark cry. Like I can't even express to you how much reward I got back from the work I put in. So again, just my experiences, my perceptions, my reality for this Soma. Again, Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, highly recommend the book. But have a friend read it with you so y'all can talk about it, because you're going to want to talk about it with someone. So thank you again to each and every one of you beautiful turtles for taking this time out of your day to spend with me. I'm honored. I am humbled by your presence, and I take this platform and my responsibilities to it very seriously. I hope my soul searching gave you some inspiration and motivation to start, continue, or reflect on your own journey. I have more videos in the works, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to come along with this journey with me. I have a lot planned. This is, again, one of the more serious topics. We're going to have some more fun stuff down the road. But this is something that I had personal value in that I feel like I could give to you guys as well. Oh, Phoebe! Okay. So, thank you guys so much again for joining me. Remember, you was kind. You got a booger. You was smart. And you was important. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye! Say bye-bye, Phoebe! Yeah, bye! Bye!